A very good morning to you, brothers and sisters.
弟兄姐妹早安。
Can I have some encouragement? Good morning. Amen. Yeah, you need encouragement. I also need
我
encouragement.
们彼
Right?
此都很需要勉励。
So today we're going to look at this topic: Jesus and the glory of God.
我们今天要看的课题是耶稣与神的荣耀。
So we have spoken of the 4 levels. The highest level of favor is the glory of God.
所以我们呢谈到了4个级别，最高一个级别呢就是神的荣耀这种恩典。
So the question is,
所以问题就是
what is the glory of God?
神的荣耀是什么呢？
The glory of God comprises His infinite love, wisdom, and power.
神的荣耀呢是指他无尽的爱、智慧和能力。
So His love and His patience is everlasting. That is the glory of God.
所以他的爱跟耐心呢是无尽的，是长存的。
When you have given up on some people because they are so, yeah.
Yeah, very strong.
Oh, okay.
Is it on?
It's on.
Okay. So when you have given up on some people because they are so bad, but God has not given up on them.
让他加麦克风。I think it's okay.
It's not working. Okay, use the,
Okay, I use the normal one.
yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
所以，当我们呢，对其他的人放弃了耐心、放弃了爱的时候呢，神的耐心跟爱呢是长存的。
So when you've given up on yourself, but God has not given up on you.
所以，当你自我放弃的时候呢，神呢还没有放弃你。
His glory includes His wisdom.
所以呢，神的荣耀也包括他的智慧。
His wisdom means that whatever that is existential in this world, right, He knows.
神的智慧就是地上的一切，他都知晓。
He knows what your heart is.
他知道你的心是怎样的，
He knows what it is like in the center of the earth.
他知道呢，全地的情况是怎样的。
He knows all kinds of scientific theory, quantum mechanics, all these He knows.
他知道所有的科学，所有的那些量子力学啦，所有的知识跟智慧。
And He knows what is going to happen in the future.
他也知道呢未来会怎样。
And that is His glory.
这个呢就是他的荣耀。
And His glory also includes His power.
神的荣耀呢也包括了他的能力。
And there's nothing that He cannot do.
在神呢万事都可行。
So the question is, why does God reveal His glory to us?
所以现在的问题就是，那为什么神要把他的荣耀显现给我们呢？
So that we may see His glory, possess it, and reign over the earth with Him.
这样子呢，我们才能看见他的荣耀，拥有这荣耀，并与他同管全地。
So it's like the sun, and how do you see the glory of the sun?
所以神的荣耀呢，就如同太阳一样。那你要怎样来见到太阳呢？
So if you look at it with your naked eye, this is what you see.
所以这是你肉眼所见到的太阳，
So you see nothing.
你什么都没有看到。
Why?
为什么呢？
Because your eye is gone.
因为呢，阳光太刺眼，你见不到。
You're blinded.
因为呢，这阳光呢会太闪耀呢，使你见不着。
Okay. But the image of the sun, as seen through special equipment, looks like that.
但是呢，这是通过特殊照相的仪器，它拍摄到的太阳是这个样子的。
So with the special equipment, you can see very detailed texture of the sun's surface.
所以有这种特殊仪器的话，你可以看到太阳它的表面啊，物质是怎样的。
With the special equipment, you can even measure the composition of the sun. What kind of gas materials comprises is in the sun?
你甚至可以计算出了它的组成成分是什么，气体是怎样的，物质是怎样的。
But the sun you cannot see the sun directly with your naked eye because the glory is too bright.
但是呢，我们是没有办法用肉眼直接看到太阳，因为它的光芒呢实在是太大了，对我们来说。
So when the glory of God is too perfect, when it appears, we have to respond to that glory.
所以同样的呢，当神呢他完全的荣耀呢显现在我们面前的时候，我们要有所来回应。
But because the standards are too high, our instinct is to run away and rebel.
可是因为神的荣耀，它的层级实在是太高了，我们的本能反应呢就是会反抗，会逃跑。
Just like if I shine a torchlight into your eye, the first instinct is to turn away.
就像我如果拿着那种闪光灯照在你眼睛上的话，你第一个反应呢就是会转头。
That's why Jesus is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation.
这也就是为什么呢？耶稣爱子呢是那不能看见之神的像，是首生的。
So he's the image, just like we look at the sun through special equipment, we can see the glory of the sun.
所以呢，耶稣呢是神的像，就像我们通过仪器看到太阳的样子，耶稣呢是让我们得见神的样貌。
And Jesus brings the glory of God down to the level that people can accept and assimilate.
所以耶稣呢，他将神的荣耀以世人能够接受和领会的这种程度呢带给他们。
So no one has seen God at any time.
所以从来没有人见过神。
But only Jesus, the begotten God, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has explained God.
只有在父怀里的独生子把它彰显出来。
So Jesus said,
所以耶稣说，
Jesus said to the disciples, if you had known me,
所以耶稣对门徒说，如果你们认识我，
you would have known my Father also. From now on you know him and have seen him. He who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father?
所以耶稣对门徒说，如果你们认识我，就必认识我的父。从今以后，你们认识他，并且看见了他，那看见了我的，就是看见了父。你怎么还说把父显示给我们呢？
So the full glory of God is manifested through a human being, and that human being is Jesus.
所以呢，神完全的荣耀呢，是通过一人显示出来的，而这人呢，就是耶稣。
So the disciples were thinking of the days of Moses, where the glory of God is a lightning, earthquake in the mountains.
所以呢，门徒们呢，他们还是以旧约的那种时代，认为神的显现呢，应该就是闪电啊、地震啊，在山上的这些闪电地震，这是他们当时的想法。
It is very hard for them to accept the fact that the full glory of God can be shown through a human being.
所以他们很难想象呢，神完全的荣耀是通过一人显示出来的。
So, in the days of the disciples who communed with Jesus and experienced God's glory, likewise we will experience the same when we commune with Jesus in the Spirit.
所以同样的，如同门徒当时与耶稣相交，经历神的荣耀，我们今日也可以和耶稣在灵里相交，经历同样的荣耀。
We can only understand the glory of God when we can see it in a weak human body.
我们只有呢，在人的身上呢，才能够来见到神的荣耀。
Many years ago, I was studying vocals under an opera singer.
多年之前呢，我有跟着一个歌剧表演者来学习这一个声乐。
She's renowned in Asia, so she's very gifted.
所以呢，他有很大的天赋。
And I had a lot of problems with singing.
然后我当时在歌唱，
I have a lot of problems with my voice.
我当时呢，就是在声音处理上有很多的问题。
Because she's so gifted, he cannot understand why I have these problems.
但是呢，因为他天赋太高了，他没办法理解我为什么会有这
So she
些。
said, just imitate my voice.
然后他说，你就效仿我的样子，
Just sing like that.
就学着我唱歌的样子。
Okay, I say I can't. First of all, you are a woman, I'm a man. The voice is different.
然后我跟他讲说，我学不到，因为你是女的，我是男的，这声音是不同
And she
的。
get frustrated. She bang on the piano, bang, bang, bang. Can you believe that?
所以呢，他很受不了，就很大声的在弹钢琴。
After 3 years, my voice is gone. Yeah,
够，
gone.
所以3年之后呢，我整个声音都没了。
Then I have to go to a vocal therapist and to sing under her to heal my voice for 1.5 years. You know.
所以我得在一个那种就治疗师那一边呢，重新学习，然后1年多才恢复正
And
常。
then after that, I found another teacher.
所以之后呢，我又找到了另外一位老师。
She's the wife of SSO director, right?
她是一个总裁的太太。
SSO Singapore Symphony Orchestra director.
她是交响乐团总裁主席的
The director, yeah. Okay, so she's a good singer, but she went through a long journey to arrive where she is.
所以呢，她的声乐方面很好，但是她自己经历了很长一段学习经历才达到这程度。
She has so many bad vocal habits, but she overcome it one by one to where she is today.
所以呢，她在声乐方面，其实她有很多之前发生不好的一些习惯，但是她一个一个来处理了，才成为现在的样子。
So she understood my problem.
所以她能够明白我所面临的问题。
So the way she corrected me is she speaks to my heart.
所以她纠正我的方法呢，是直接针对我的境况、我的心来沟通。
So she started to speak to my heart, and when I have the right heart posture, and I'll produce the right sound.
所以我在心里呢是得到安慰的，知道她明白我的问题，然后呢，我在技巧上也就进步了。
So if God releases His full glory without the weakness of a man, we will run away.
所以呢，神的荣耀如果不是通过人的软弱来显现出来的话呢，我们呢就会逃跑。
So Jesus has full of human weaknesses,
所以耶稣身上呢也蛮有人的软弱，
and He overcome the weaknesses bit by bit, step by step.
然后他一点一点的呢战胜了肉体的软弱。
So when we go to Jesus and commune with Him, and we will start to learn from Him and how to manifest the glory of God.
所以我们来到这样的耶稣面前呢，我们可以效仿他，可以向他学习，可以克服我们的软弱。
So the purpose is so that we, like Jesus, can possess the full glory of God and to reign over the earth.
所以呢，目的就是呢，我们能够效仿耶稣呢，我们能够得着神完全的荣耀与他同管全地。
So now I want to talk about Paul's teaching on the glory of God.
我们现在来看一下保罗关于神荣耀的教导。
In Colossians, do not turn until I ask you, yeah. So Paul is encouraging the Colossian Christians to put on the glory of God.
所以呢，保罗呢在勉励哥罗西这一些信徒呢，要来披戴耶稣的荣耀，神的荣耀。
And you can be very surprised when you read this passage slowly.
所以，如果你慢慢的来读这个经文的话呢，你会有很大的发现。
So for this reason, Colossians 1:9, also, since the day we heard of it, we have not ceased to pray for you, to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding.
因此，我们从听见的那天起，就不停的为你们祷告祈求，愿你们借着一切属灵的智慧和悟性，可以充分明白神的旨意。
So, all, omni, right? Shins, which is one of the characteristics of God, all-knowing. Omniscience, okay, so all-knowing.
所以 omniscient 呢，它就是全知的意思，也就是神的属性之一。
So, as God knows everything that is on this earth, as He knows what is in the future, so Paul is praying that they likewise will be able to fill with this spiritual wisdom.
所以神呢，具备全知的属性，他知晓地上的事，知晓未来的事。所以保罗也一样呢，祷告，这些信徒们能够有一切属灵的这种智慧。
So what's the purpose? It's slide number 17. Yeah, so that you will walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, please Him in all respects, bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. It means understanding what is in the heart of God.
所以这个全知的目的是什么呢？就是使你们行事为人对得起主，凡事蒙他喜悦，在一切善事上多结果子，更加认识神。
Without having this all-knowing ability, we are limited in the way we please God and do work.
所以如果没有这种全知的能力呢，我们呢就会有局限呢，来蒙神喜悦，来多结果子。
So, and then Paul continued.
保罗继续说
This is like 18, strengthened with all power, right? This is all power, omnipotent, right? Which is one of the attributes of God. Strengthened with all power according to His glorious might. Yeah.
保罗继续说，依照他荣耀的大能，得着一切能力。
And then he continued, he said, all steadfastness and patience. He's talking about all loving nature, all steadfastness and patience. Joyously giving thanks to the Father who has qualified us to share in the inheritance of the saints in the light.
所以保罗继续说，要凡事忍耐宽容，要带着喜乐的心，凡事忍耐宽容，并且感谢父。
And then Paul also said, the glory of God is our right. It is our inheritance.
所以保罗也告诉我们呢，神的荣耀是我们的权利，也是我们的基业。
So Christendom today is very much focused on one aspect of the glory of God, which is His all-loving nature.
今日的基督教会很强调的呢，只有一个部分，那就是凡事要来忍耐宽容。
And then using your mind, right, to determine, to understand what the will of God is.
然后用自己的思想，用自己的能力去明白神的计划跟智慧是什么。
Of course, using your thinking, your logic is based on biblical principles.
那当然呢，这个依靠自己的能力跟逻辑呢，是基于这个圣经的教导。
But now we're talking about supernatural wisdom or revelations from heaven.
但我们现在所说的呢，是属灵的智慧，或者是从天上而来的这种启示。
And this wisdom comes through the mind, in thoughts, and through physical signs on your body.
所以这一种属灵的智慧呢，它是让你得着神的心思意念，然后呢，在肢体上呢有所这一些显现出来。
And then all power
然后全能呢，
involves the work of the angels.
这个全能的话呢，就是关于天使的工作。
So Paul is encouraging the people. It is your inheritance. Seek it. Pursue it.
所以保罗在这里呢，勉励这一些圣徒呢，这是你们的基业，你要去追求它，你要去拥有它。
So in the days of Jesus, Jesus is the one, a human being, showing the disciples how they can manifest the glory of God.
所以在耶稣的时代呢，耶稣他是一人呢，来显现给门徒看，如何来彰显神的荣耀。
And for Paul, he is the one who, as a human being, he showed the Colossian Christians how to manifest the glory of God.
所以保罗呢，他也是以个人的方式呢，来显示给哥罗西书的信徒如何显示神的荣耀。
You cannot just study the Bible and expect to be able to exercise the glory of God. You can't do that.
我们是不可能只是通过查经呢，就能够行出神的荣耀，这是不可能的。
You must go through a disciple training process in order to do that.
你要通过门徒的训练呢，才能够做到这样。
Because the glory of God is manifested in a human body, not directly from heaven.
因为呢，神的荣耀不是直接从天上来的，而是通过人来显示出来的。
But you need to pursue with all your heart.
可是你要全心的去追求这一种荣耀。
Now I want to talk about the story of Elisha.
我现在要谈以利沙的故事。
Now Elisha is one of the most effective prophet in the olden times.
以利沙呢是旧约时代呢，最有能力的先知之一。
And under the watch of Elisha, Israel is safe.
所以在以利沙的照顾之下呢，以色列呢是受保守的。
So Elisha is able to manifest the wisdom of God.
所以以利沙呢，他能够显现出神的智慧。
He able to manifest the omnipotence of God.
他能够显现出神的全能。
And is able to manifest the love of God.
那他也能够显现出神的爱。
So this story, the setting of this story is when there's a war between the nation of Aram and Israel.
所以在这一个故事里面呢，你会看到呢，在这里呢是有征战的。
So
亚
when
兰王与以色列人的征战。
So when the king of Aram was, this is slide 20, when the king of Aram was at war with Israel, he would confer with his officers and say, we will mobilize our forces at such and such a place. But immediately Elisha, the man of God, would warn the king of Israel, do not go near that place, for the Arameans are planning to mobilize their troops there. So the king of Israel would send word to the place indicated by the man of God, and again Elisha warned the king so that he would be on the alert there.
亚兰王与以色列人打仗，他和他的臣仆商议说：“我要在某处埋伏。”神人就派人去见以色列王说：“你要小心，不要经过这个地方，因为亚兰人在那里埋伏。”以色列王派人到那地方，就是神人曾告诉他、警告他的，他就在那里小心防范，这样不止一两次了。
So the king of Aram The king of Aram became very upset over this. He called his officers together and demanded, which of you is the traitor who has been informing the king of Israel of my plans? It is not us, my lord, the king, one of the officers replied. Elisha the prophet in Israel tells the king of Israel, even the words you speak in the privacy of your bedroom. Go and find out where he is, the king commanded, so I can send troops to arrest him. And the report came back to Elisha. Came back, said Elisha is at Dothan.
所以亚兰王因为这事心中大感困惑，他招了他的臣仆来，对他们说：“在我们中间有谁帮助以色列王？你们不告诉我吗？”他的一个臣仆说：“我主我王啊，不是的，只不过是以色列的以利沙先知，把你在你卧室内所说的话告诉了以色列王。”于是王说：“你们去看看他，在那里，我要派人把他捉下。”有人告诉他说：“看啊，他正在多单。”
So this is the glory of God, all wisdom and understanding.
所以这就是神的荣耀，就是有全知、有完全的知识、智慧。
How did it work out? It's because the angels are the eyes and the ears of Elisha.
这是怎样发生的呢？那是因为天使呢，就是以利沙的眼目。
In what fashion did the angels communicate with Elisha? That is very specific to each person.
所以呢，天使是如何跟以利沙来沟通的？这个呢，是天使跟人的沟通是因人而异的，是各不相同的。
So I will sit down with someone, all right, and then that is where we discover together how God speaks to this person, and we call this process calibration.
所以呢，我会呢和教会里面的弟兄姐妹会坐下，然后一起来明白神是怎么来跟他沟通的。
So, and the report came back, Elisha is at Dothan, so that they surround the city When the servant, and so the army surrounded the city, and so when the servant of the man of God got up early the next morning and went outside, there were troops and horses and chariots everywhere. "Oh, sir, what will we do now?" the young man or the servant of Elisha cried. "Don't be afraid," Elisha told him, "for there are more on our side than on theirs." So one night, the king of Aram sent a great army with many chariots and horses.
他就差派车马和一大队军兵往那里去。他们在夜晚抵达，围困那城。神人的侍从清早起来，走出屋外，看见军队车马围住了城。神人的仆人对神人说：“惨啊，我主啊，我们怎么办才好？”神人说：“不要惧怕，因为和我们在一起的，比和他们在一起的更多。”
So you realize that the servant of Elisha could not see the chariots of angels that is right there.
所以你可以看到这个仆人呢，他看不到这个天使的这一个大队的军马。
So Elisha prayed for the young man, and his eyes were open to be able to see the angels.
所以以利沙为他祷告，他的眼睛就张开了，看见了天使的军队。
The servant cannot open his eyes by himself. He needs a disciple maker to help him open his eyes.
所以这个仆人他没有办法自己张开眼睛看到这景象，他需要一个门徒训练者呢来帮助他。
And there are many reasons why a person cannot engage or see the angels and feel them. There are many reasons.
所以呢，为什么不能够看见天使呢？这可能有多种原因。
When I meet with the person, I will test the posture of his heart, the alignment of his mind towards God.
所以呢，当我跟比如教会的弟兄姐妹面谈的时候，我呢会去了解他的心态，他对神的态度，还有他的心思意念呢，是否是跟从神的心思意念。
Yeah, so if the heart is full of pride, self-dependence, I depend on myself, I depend on my ability to reason, then you will not be able to see the power of God.
所以如果呢，他的心呢是充满了骄傲，想要靠自己，这样子的人，他是没有办法见着神的这个荣耀。
And if his mind has very strong convictions, I will be doing this, and he set his mind to do something, and it's very hard to change his mind, then the Lord wouldn't want to communicate with this person.
所以同样的，如果呢他是自我观念很强烈，说我就是要这样子去做的，我就是要用这种方法，这样子的人呢，神是很难来跟他沟通的。
So this process of first be able to see and feel the angels, that's point one. Second point, be able to communicate with them meaningfully is a process.
所以呢，要先得见天使，然后要能够跟天使沟通，差派他们，这是一个很有意义的过程。
This is a process.
这是一个过程。
And then also, there are times where your heart, right, has a very strong preference for something.
也有一些时候是你的心呢有很强的一些偏好，
And that sort of interferes with what God is telling you.
然后这会影响了神想要告诉你的。
So it is very important that one must commune with Jesus
所以我们呢与耶稣相交呢，这是很重要的。
to understand what is on his heart and align ourselves to him.
明白耶稣的心，然后呢，将我们的心呢与他同心。
So now, having seen the powers of God, the angels surrounding the whole city, Elisha proceeded to do the next thing.
所以呢，现在他们看到了这个天使的军队呢是围绕着全城的，然后以利沙就做了下一个动作。
In slide number 27, he issued a command for the eyes of the Aramean armies to be blinded.
所以呢，他的遣快呢，就是让这个亚兰王的士兵呢，眼睛就瞎了。
So it is Elisha that initiates, right, this blinding process. Not God, but it is Elijah who
所以你
initiated
可以
it.
看到，其实不是神，而是以利沙呢，来使这些士兵眼睛瞎了。
So now we can see the omnipotence of God being manifested by Elisha.
所以你在这里可以看到呢，神的全能呢是在以利沙身上显现出来的。
So the armies are all blinded, so they were lost.
所以亚兰王他们的士兵呢，全部都瞎了，然后他们就是无所适从，不知道方向怎样。
So Elisha went and led the whole blinded army towards Samaria, which is where the king of Israel is.
所以呢，以利沙呢就把这些已经全部瞎掉的这个军队呢，就带到了以色列王他的地方去。
And the king of Israel said, "Okay, now let's kill them." Yeah, the sitting ducks, right? Let's kill them.
所以以色列王说：“好，既然他们在我们手上，我们就把他们杀了。”
But Elisha said, "No,
以利沙说：“不要，
let us feed them, give them a feast."
让我们呢给他们好吃好喝的，让他们大吃大喝一场。”
So they had a great feast. The enemies had a great feast.
所以这一些士兵呢，就大吃大喝了一顿。
And then after that, they went back and report to the king of Aram.
然后他们就回到了亚兰王那里。
And they are so frightened, and they never again want to attack the king of
然后他
Israel.
们心中呢是充满了惧怕呢，就再也不想要攻打。
Slide number 29. So it is the glory of God within Elisha that protected Israel against evil.
所以呢，以利沙呢是靠着神的荣耀呢来保守以色列。
So in the same way, we must use the glory of God within us to protect and bless the righteous.
所以我们同样的要靠着我们内在的这个荣耀来保守、来赐福给义人。
So now, we can see in the Old Testament that unless there's someone who carries the glory, you cannot protect the people.
所以你可以看到，在旧约时代呢，只有少数的人呢是带有这个神的荣耀的。
And unless there's someone like that, you cannot protect the people.
所以，除非是有这样子的义人呢，否则是没有办法来保守全民的。
Unless the glory of God is upon you, the world can never see God.
除非呢是神的荣耀呢在你身上，不然世人是见不到神的。
So instead of you asking people to come to church, I would rather you manifest the glory of God in your life so that they may come to God through you.
所以你不要只是邀请别人来教会，我宁愿你呢是在身上彰显神的荣耀，这样子会吸引他们来认识神。
So we have seen many prominent ministers being able to speak to God directly and display a lot of power in healing.
所以我们看到呢，有很多就是有神恩赐的人呢，他们能够跟神沟通，然后他们可以来行神迹，
And we envy them.
然后我们对他们会心有嫉妒。
But God has shown us a way such that everyone is able to enjoy the glory of God.
但是神呢，他用他的方式来让我们明白，每一个人都可以有这样子的荣耀。
But the problem is that there is no hunger to go for it.
但问题就在于呢，我们心里呢没有那种渴慕、渴求去得着这荣耀。
The problem is that we love ourselves more than God.
问题在于我们爱自己多于我们爱神。
We go to Jesus asking him what we should do in our predicament. We go to Jesus asking him what we should do in our predicament.
我们呢来到耶稣面前呢，问他我们要做什么是对自己有利的。
What we should do in our predicament, in our problems.
OK， 我们来到耶稣面前，问耶稣说，在困境中我们要做些，在自己的困境中要做些。
We go to God asking him for the grace to heal the sick.
我们呢来到神面前呢，向他求恩典来医治病
We
人。
go to God and ask Him to show us the future, to explain certain things to us.
然后我们呢祈求神呢，让我们得见未来，然后向我们解释一些事情。
But very few will go to God and ask Him what are the things that weigh on His heart.
可是很少有人会来神面前说：“神，你心里你的心思意念是怎样的？”
So having a lot of knowledge will not cause us to grow. No.
所以呢，在当中有很多的知识是没有办法让我们成长的。
Having a lot of supernatural gifts will not cause us to grow.
有很多这种神迹奇事的能力呢，也没有办法让我们成长。
But it is through communion with Jesus, through caring for Jesus, there is a heart-to-heart connection that is what causes us to grow.
我们是通过呢与耶稣相交来体贴耶稣呢，我们才跟耶稣有心与心的这种连接。
So let us follow. First, slide number 30. Let's follow Jesus wholeheartedly.
所以让我们全心来跟随耶稣，
Wholeheartedly.
全心的来跟随耶稣。
Most people, they are looking at their career, they're looking at their business, and then they treat Jesus like a servant to fulfill what they need.
所以很多人他看到的只是自己的事业，自己所想要的，然后把耶稣呢当仆人一样满足自己的需求。
Then they say, see, I depend on Jesus. So that is faith.
然后他们说：“你看，我有依靠耶稣啊，这就是我的信心。”
Following Jesus is to put everything aside and just listen to Him, what He wants us to do.
跟随耶稣呢，是把一切都放下了，只听他的话，全心跟从他。
And to want to see Him and know Him so that we can become like Him.
希望能够得见他，这样子我们才能够拥有他的样貌。
And in many of us, we want the glory of God without putting effort into it.
所以呢，我们想要神的荣耀，却不愿去努力。
So they try some of the things I tell them, it cannot work, then they give up.
然
Yeah?
后呢，他们试了一下，然后觉得没有效果，就放弃了。
So you need to pursue the face of Jesus in order, for love to grow. Then after that, He will share with us His glory.
所以你要呢，一直不断努力去追求神的荣光，这样子呢，你才能够逐步有神的这种荣耀。
So how effective are you in doing the work of God?
所以你在做神的工作上，你有多有效果呢？
It is not about how hard you work,
不是你工作的多么的勤劳，
but it's how much of Jesus do you have inside you.
而是你内心呢有多少耶稣的地位。
And if you have Jesus inside you, you will also manifest His power, His wisdom, and His love.
所以，如果你的内心呢有耶稣很大的同在，你同样会彰显出他的爱、他的能力、他的智慧。
That said, we cannot by ourselves develop the glory of God within us.
我虽然这样子说，但是呢，我们是没有办法自己做到这样子发展的。
I'm very happy because there are many seated here have begun to manifest the glory of God in their lives.
我很喜悦，因为我们在座很多人呢，开始彰显出神的荣耀。
So when we give ourselves fully to God,
所以，当我们呢将自己完全的交给神，
the glory of God can be used not just for spreading of the gospel, but also for our personal things.
所以神的这一个荣耀呢，不只是让我们传福音呢，也关于我们自己的生活。
Because to God there is no difference, because your whole person belongs to God. So everything that you do, it matters to God.
因为呢，在神呢，你是属于神的，所以你做的一切呢，神都关心。
The glory of God is your right, your inheritance.
神的荣耀呢，是你的权利，你的基业。
And what you're about to do is something that other believers have not seen before. This is a warning to you.
所以你现在所要行的呢，是 是其他的信徒所未曾看到的，这是我对你的一个警示。
Yeah, because of their well-intention, they will warn you, they will discourage you. Well, this is what they are. It is what it is, right?
因为出于他们的一些个人的想法，他们会去警告你，他们会去让你来受挫，来让你灰心。
But when you pursue Jesus and when you possess the glory of God, that will be a great encouragement to them.
但是当你追求神，当你追求神的荣耀呢，这也会增强他们的信心，也会勉励他们。
Because many believers are very, very disappointed because they cannot hear God. They don't know what they should do.
因为很多信徒的心里呢是非常的失望的，因为他们听不到神的声音，他们不知道自己该怎么做。
And hence their prosperity is delayed year after year because they cannot hear the voice of God.
因此，他们兴起的这个计划是一年的被耽搁了，因为他们不能听见神的声音。
But it requires you to put the noises aside and just to seek God with all your heart.
但这也就需要你呢，把所有其他人的声音呢都放在一边，只是全心的来追求主。
And then life becomes so peaceful because you don't have to worry about so many things because God has already spoken to you.
然后你的生活呢会充满了平安，因为神已经对你说话了，给你心里平安。
And when you are at the fourth level, you will inherit level 1, 2, and 3.
当你在第4个级别的时候呢，你也拥有了1、2、3级别的这些恩赐。
Amen?
Amen.
I've invested my life into you, not to grow the church so that I can feel good, but I invested my life to you, onto you, so that you may prosper and bear the glory of God.
所以呢，我把我的生命呢给了你们，不是为了要建一个教会，而是呢让你们得神的荣耀，让你们来兴起。
And so that you will be a blessing to your family and to your neighborhood.
所以你会成为你家人，成为你社区的祝福。
Amen?